All right, so solving linear systems of equations by substitution. Pretty good way to solve a system of equations if it's already kind of part of the way done for you. Not always the best way, but it does work very well no matter what the system is. If there's a solution to it, substitution will find it. Okay, so when you're substituting, you might have a system of equations 3x plus 5y equals 17. That's one equation. And then you have a second equation that might be something like y equals 4. These are the easiest of the ones. We'll step it up a little bit as we go. Okay, so with substitution, what you want to do is take one of the equations that tells you what a variable is equal to and substitute that into the other equation. This one says that y is equal to 4. So I can substitute that in the place of y in that first equation. Okay, if I do that, I'd have 3x plus 5 times 4 is equal to 17. Now that equation only has an x in it, and I can solve that. That's 3x plus 20 is equal to 17. And what do I do to get x by itself now? Subtracting 20. 3x is equal to negative 3. Last step. Divide by 3. X equals negative 1. So we have x equaling negative 1. And then up here in this equation, we had y is equal to 4. So we've got an ordered pair solution for that. Negative 1, 4. That's our solution because we already had y equal to a number. We'll see what to do when we don't have that in just a little bit, okay? So we had y equals 4, so we already had half the answer. Here we're getting an ordered pair as the solution for these. Ordered pair, x and a y. Let's try this one. Let's say we had x equals negative 5 and 2x minus 3y equals 11. Okay. So here they tell us that x equals negative 5. So we can take that and substitute it for x in the second equation. So we're taking one of the equations, what it tells us the variable is equal to, and substituting it for that variable in the other equation. So here we're going to 2 times negative 5 minus 3y equals 11. 2 times negative 5 would be negative 10 minus 3y equals 11. Now what? Not subtract, but add because it's a negative. Get rid of that. There's negative 3y is equal to 21. Divide by negative 3. Y is negative 7. We already have the x. It told us at the beginning that x was negative 5. So our final answer will be negative 5, negative 7. That ordered pair is our answer. Okay. We already had the x value. They gave it to us at the beginning. They won't always do that. Anna? Yes, we're about to get to those. And so here they gave us one of the answers, half of the answer. We had to find the other half using the other equation. Well, let's look at maybe something where we got to do a little bit more work. All right. Let's see. Say we had x plus 2y equals 11 and y equals 3x plus 2. All right. So we got two equations. One has x and y on the same side. The other one has y by itself. So that's really in slope-intercept form. Doesn't really matter It's just got y by itself. That's the key. So this makes this problem a lot like example A, where we had y at the beginning. The only difference is this y has an x involved. So we're going to take that part, take that 3x plus 2, and we're going to substitute that in the place of what? Y in the other problem. Because that's what it says, y is equal to that. So we can substitute that for y. Okay? So we have x plus 2 parentheses 3x plus 2 equals 11. And so we've taken 3x plus 2, that's what y was equal to, and we've replaced y in the other equation with that 3x plus 2. Now, what should I do next? Distribute. I'm going to distribute the 2 to both of those to get 6x plus 4. Still got the x out in the front and the 11 there. Then simplify. X plus 6x would be 7x. Now what? Subtract 4. 7x is equal to 7. Divide by 7. X is equal to 1. Now, we don't have y. We don't have the number that y is. But we got this equation that says y equals 3 times x plus 2. So we can take this answer we got for x and plug it back in and get y. So we're substituting again the 1 for x in this equation. That's going to give us 3 times 1 is 3 plus 2 is 5. So our final answer is this ordered pair, 1, 5. So here, example, like Anna asked, when are we going to have where we don't have the other half of the answer starting off? Here's one of those shots. So they say, okay, here's what y equals, but it's got an x in it. So you got to do your substitution, find x, and then take that answer, substitute it back in to find the y value. Okay. All right. Let's look at another one. Negative 2x plus y is equal to negative 3. X equals negative 3y plus 5. This one, we got one equation that's got x and y on the same side, and another equation that's got x by itself. What can we use to substitute with? Yeah, the negative 3y plus 5. I can take that part and substitute it for x in the other equation. So that's negative 2, parentheses, negative 3y plus 5 plus y is equal to negative 3. Negative 2 times negative 3, it should be positive 6y. And then negative 2 times positive 5 would be negative 10 plus y is equal to negative 3. So that's just doing the distributive property there. Be careful on your signs, because if you miss the first answer, you're definitely going to miss the second answer too. Okay, so be really careful on both, but especially that first one. Okay, 6y plus 1y, 7y plus 10, or excuse me, minus 10 equals negative 3. Now what? Add 10. 7y is equal to 7. Divide by 7. And y equals 1. Now, how can I use that to get x? Plug it in for y in one of the other equations. I'm going to go to this equation that says x equals, because then all I got to do is work out that side, and I'll get what x is. So I'll go to x equals -3 times 1 plus 5. -3 times 1 is -3. -3 plus 5, +2. So x is equal to 2. The ordered pair, 2, 1. That ordered pair, that's the answer that we want, is the ordered pair. Find each of those individually to get there. We want that ordered pair. All right. All right. Not too bad so far. Let's go a little further here. Let's say we have x minus 2y equals -6. 4x plus 6y equals 4. Uh-oh. They don't do what now? Okay. What do you mean by that? Yeah. Yeah, get one of the variables by itself. Neither of them have an x equals or a y equals on it. So try to get one of them to do that with. Which one would be the easiest to do that with? The first one, getting x by itself, only takes one step. I think that's the easiest one. If I tried to get y by itself on this one, it would take at least 2 steps, because I'd have to move the x and then divide by -2. So I could get x by itself on this first one by just adding 2y. And that would change that problem to be x equals 2y minus 6. Because I've canceled out the y's here, and there's -6 plus 2y, and I just wrote it as 2y minus 6. Now I can take that part and replace x, or substitute for x, in which equation? The second one. You've got to be careful and not go back into the one you started with. Okay? If you do, you're just going to end up going in circles. All right, so always go into the other equation. So that's going to give us 4 parentheses 2y minus 6 plus 6y equals 4. And let's solve that for y. Yeah, 8y minus 24 plus 6y still equal to 4. 8y plus 6y, 14y minus 24 equal 4. Next step. Add 24. 14y is equal to 28. Last step. Divide by 14 on both sides. And then y is 2. 28 divided by 14 is 2. So y is 2. Now I've got y. How do I get x? Plug in y in one of these equations up here. I got 3 different equations I can choose from. I could go to this original one here and solve it for x. I could go to this one, plug it in and solve for x. Or I could go to this one and plug it in and get x. Which one would be the easiest? This one? I think the third one would be the easiest, because then all I have to do is work out that side. And it's just multiplying and subtracting. That's a little easier work than multiplying, adding, subtracting, and then getting x by itself again. It's a little bit more straightforward. So if I take 2 that I got for y and replace y with it in that equation, 4 minus 6, x would be -2. The ordered pair, remember that's the answer we want. What's the ordered pair? -2, +2. Remember, that's the answer that we want. Here's the great thing about it. It doesn't matter which one you plug back into to get the x or get the second variable. Any of them should get you the exact same answer. So if you're ever not sure of what we got for the second answer, you could go back to either one of the first original problems and plug back in. You still get the same answer if you did it correctly. Okay, so nothing wrong with plugging into a different one. You're always welcome to do that. Okay, let's look at this one. F. So we have x minus y equals 3, and x plus 2y equals -6. Well, neither of those has x or y by itself, but we could get one of them to have either an x by itself or a y by itself pretty easily. Okay, so which one y'all want to work with? The top one? How do we get it? What are we trying to get by itself on the top? Does it matter? Doesn't matter which one you try to get by itself. I think it's easiest to get x by itself on this one because all you got to do is add y and you're done. If you try to get y by itself, you got to subtract x and then divide by a -1. So there's an extra step involved. So getting x by itself on this one, pretty easy. It's also pretty easy to get x by itself on the second one if you wanted to. It doesn't matter which one. Just pick one and get a variable by itself. As long as you do it mathematically, legally, where you do the correct operations to both sides, it doesn't matter. You can take whatever route you want to. Here we get x equals y plus 3. And that's pretty easy to deal with. I think I can deal with that one. So I'm going to take that and do what with it? Yeah, replace the x, substitute it for x in the second equation. Okay. So that gives us y plus 3. There's nothing to distribute there on that. So no need for parentheses on that. Then 2y is equal to -6. Simplify, get your y's together. Y plus 2y, 3y plus 3 is equal to -6. Then what? Subtract 3. Give us 3y is equal to -9. Divide by 3. Y is -3. Okay. I got a nice equation right there. It's got x by itself already. I can plug back into it to get the x value. -3 plus 3. What's x? 0. What's the ordered pair? 0, -3. Remember, that's the one we want. All right, not too bad. Let's do one more. (3x plus y is equal to -7. (2x plus 4y is equal to 0. Which variable would be the easiest to get by itself in which equation? The y in the first one, because it's just one step away, right? How do I get it there? Good. Subtract 3x. Cancels out there. That's going to give us y equals -3x minus 7, or if you wrote -7 minus 3x, that's the same thing. Not real picky about it in the systems of equations stuff. Now, what do we do with that? Plug it in for y in the second equation. Substitute. So that's negative 2x. Now, I do have to do some distributive property here. What's that going to be? Negative 2x minus 12x minus 28 is equal to 0. Simplify the like terms there. Negative 2x and negative 12x. Negative 14x. Now what? Add 28. Good. We have negative 14x is equal to 28. Last step. Divide by negative 14. And x would be negative 2. Okay. What do I do with that? Yeah, I got this equation that had an x, a y by itself, and x on the other side. So I'm going to plug that in there. Work it out. That'd be 6 minus 7, which is negative 1. Ordered pair, negative 2, negative 1. This takes a little bit of practice. Really, the substitution idea, I like substitution a pretty good bit. I like elimination, which is something we'll learn later this week, a little bit better sometimes. But there's equation sets or systems that really work well with substitution, and there are others that work really well with elimination. So being able to do both methods is very helpful in speeding up how fast you can solve a system, because when you get to Algebra 2, solving the system is not the end of the game. It's only the beginning of it. So you've got to, it's one of those things, if you've got a faster way, it's going to be helpful to do that. So this is what I want you to work on today. On page 439 of your textbook, 3 through 17, and then 21 through 27. Let's do odd on all those to start off with. If we can't handle that, we'll change. Make sure you show your work. Okay? Show your work. I got odds on there. You can do the evens as well if you want. Guys, you can check your answers to these by plugging the ordered pair back into each equation to make sure it works in both of them. It has to work in both of them or it's not correct. So you can check your answers by taking your ordered pair and plugging it into the first equation, work it out. Is it equal on both sides? Plug it into the second equation, work it out. Is it equal on both sides? If it is, then that's for sure the correct equation. Okay. All right. What do you need? I'm hungry. Yeah. Yes, you can use the calculator.